the value that you have or the information that you have isn't really unique.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Curiosity Class. I'm super excited to be joined by my friend Jackie Lamport today. Jackie is a member of Lower Street, and she is a podcasting thought leader in the space. So, Jackie, thanks so much for being here, for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
100%. So, do you want to give people just a quick background of like who you are, where you came from, and then how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. So I started in radio because I wanted to be a music director at a radio station,
Okay.
my favorite alternative station in Toronto specifically. And I was working at the radio station that I wanted to work at for a while, and I even ended up scheduling music there for a bit. But the company also owned a talk radio station that was news. And I ended up working at that one as like my full-time job. And so I got into news radio as a producer. And I really liked being involved in news and storytelling. So I ended up doing that for about 5 or 6 years, I think, I forget. And then it's radio. So I was like, oh, this is an interesting industry right now. A lot of my friends were getting laid off. And so I switched into podcasting. I had become obsessed with The Daily.
Okay.
I was listening to that every day, and I was like, oh man, I wish I could do this. And there was an opportunity during the pandemic. I had actually already moved out west in Canada, and the city, I would say town is more apt, but technically it's a city that I moved to, had a podcast producer opening for a podcast called The Capital Daily, which was essentially a ripoff of The Daily. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I got into that, and I was doing that as the host and producer, and like basically it was a 1.5 person team. We had somebody part-time that was helping me as well, but it was mostly just me. And I did that for a year, got really burnt out, and it was like, I like this podcasting thing, but I think I gotta take a break from news. So I switched to Lower Street, which is branded podcasting, and I've been doing that for about 4 years now. And it's been really, really cool to just get into the more technical media side as opposed to just news. Yeah, I really like it. Yeah.
And I think one of the coolest things about your story is like you were sharing with me off air that like you don't care about your title at work. And if anyone follows you on LinkedIn or Instagram, like they see all your stuff that you're doing. It's like you do everything. So you're all over the place, and your content is amazing.
Yeah, I don't particularly care about title because to me it's like I'm going to do what I would like to do anyway, or what I'm allowed to do, and I'll always push that. So it's hard to even like have a title because I'm always like, oh, now I want to try this thing, and they're like, yeah, go for it. It's like that doesn't technically fit like my scope, which is actually a conversation that we have a lot at I like with my COO. It's like, well, how do we make my role have like a scope? But I just like doing a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of ideas, and I want to involve myself in too many things.
And it's so cool. And like you always say like, oh yeah, like I like saying yes to stuff. Like I say yes to things.
Yeah. I think I say yes to too much. But yeah.
What's been? Can you share like something that you recently did? You're like, oh, like I think this would be cool, so like I'm gonna go build it out, or like I'm gonna go do it.
I was like really interested in just recording videos for our company that were about like the setup and like all that kind of stuff in like the technical side of podcasting, and then like a lot of the thought leadership stuff. I will just kind of be like, look, I'm gonna spend my day and I'm gonna make this right now, and then I'll pass it off to you guys and we can do stuff with it. I've done that I've written like very, very long strategy documents and stuff too, where I'm just like, listen, I have a lot to say or do right now. I'm just going to do it, and then we can figure out what we want to do with it. But yeah, I think I'm biased to action. I think that if you wait or you try to plan too much or whatever it is, you don't always do the thing that you're trying to do or you think you're going to do. I think if you have an urge to do something, do it in the moment, which is pretty much what I do. And then if you execute on it, then usually you can make something of it. And that's better than not doing anything and trying to plan to do the perfect thing.
What percentage of the stuff that do you end up using versus like, oh, like, okay, can't use that, so like just move on to the next thing?
I would say that I write a lot more than we actually use. So I've written like a lot of different essays and very long, very, very long articles um, that I don't always end up using because I don't necessarily, like, feel like they're worth the polishing time. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just, like, I like writing, and so sometimes I just do it, and then I'm like, maybe we didn't actually need this, I'm not gonna continue," but I enjoyed thinking about it. But I also think that that's super, super, super valuable still because, writing is a processing thing too, right? So when you're writing, like, thought leadership stuff, which is typically what a lot of the essays that I end up writing don't do anything with. I have a whole folder on my Chrome profile, which is just like essays. And I think it's just like a really good way to solidify what you think with yourself anyway. It's almost like conversing with yourself. I guess that's why people journal.
Mhm.
I don't really journal, but sometimes. So I don't always use those things. I think that's like the only thing that I would say that I don't really use. I also actually, I do build out a lot of project management like templates and stuff that we don't always need, but we do use a lot of them. But sometimes I'm just like a nerd for building out like ClickUp templates. Yeah.
I feel like you're the definition of an entrepreneur. Like you go into a company, you're like, okay, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna make stuff. I'm gonna build things, and like basically like you're not breaking the limits of anything. Like you're not testing the boundaries, but you're just like being extremely helpful. And I'm sure everyone you work with is probably loves that.
I think that that is a title that I would agree with, and I think that pretty much everybody at my company would probably also agree with that. Yeah, I think. I don't want to speak for people, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When your work is like, because you said you got into this because you're like obsessed with the daily, right?
Mhm.
Is there a party that is like kind of burnt out about like it's hard to at the end of your day, you're like, oh, the last thing I want to do is listen to a podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's actually interesting. It's kinda like, so the one of the reasons that obviously I didn't like, news radio just, like, had more jobs, and I found that myself, liking that, so I got into it. But one of the reasons I
Hmm.
ended up not going into music radio, is because I love music so much, and I just found that it kind of, it, like, deflated that love a little bit when I'm listening and I'm trying to, like, discover things for
Hmm.
the sake of, like, programming or whatever it was, and I think that any industry that you're in, if you go and do something you love, it's great to do things that you love, and I love that I get to do something that I love. But yeah, it really does like make you want to consume other things. And I think I listen to podcasts, but the podcasts that I listen to are very different from the things that I produce. Also, so like I really, really like to
Hmm.
listen to really bad fiction, like horror, sci-fi podcasts, and that's kind of almost all that actually find myself listening to when I do listen to podcasts. Yeah.
Are you a big reader? Are you said you write,
Yeah.
so like do you write for fun, like outside of work?
Yeah, I write a lot for fun outside of work. That's one of the things that's difficult too, is because like, I write a lot for a livings. Sometimes I find myself
Hmm.
drained there, but I do write a lot. I've written, like, a slasher screenplay. I wrote a really crappy time travel novel once. I do a lot of, like, really cheesy songs and stuff too, because I like to play my guitar. So I do a lot of writing, and I also do a lot of reading. That's probably what I do mostly with my spare time, like that and, like, playing guitar. I'm a big reader, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Do you like? How do you think about the impacts of AI on the future of podcasting and just like media in general?
I have, experimented a lot with AI. As soon as it's like ChatGPT started to become a big thing, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna, see what I can do with this." And, I built out, like, a bunch of different individual bots for shows for, like, specific tasks and stuff that, like the GPTs, you can do the customized ones. I've done a lot of that kinda
Hmm.
stuff, and I think what I've learned is that it's really, really good at helping you stay on track, but it's not good at helping you. It's not good at making you do better, if that makes sense. Like as in like a creative way. It's I think that this isn't like a hot take or anything, but it's not creative, and I actually think that a lot of the output is pretty stale. And I think
Hmm.
it can be really helpful for process documents and stuff where the writing doesn't necessarily need to have like a personality or the creative, and it's just about like organizing thoughts and structuring things. I think that's really, really helpful, especially somebody like my brain is just like so scattered sometimes it can be difficult to rein things in. And I think it does help me just kind of see, okay, this is a structure, this is what I could be doing. And that's great. So it's like a tool, but I'm not actually concerned about it because I think it's just it lacks now I'm gonna like eat my words in like 5 years or whatever, maybe even sooner. It lacks personality, and I think that the reason that we like content is because of personality, and like more
Hmm.
so, I believe that the actual delivery of your content is more important than what you're delivering, and I think that like it doesn't necessarily it can't really do that in a unique way. And if everybody's using, I mean, it could progress where I'm really stuttering over this because I'm like so hesitant that it's suddenly gonna like develop personalities and be like really, really cool and people are gonna love it. Especially like my nieces are like 10 and 7 and they're talking about using ChatGPT in school and like they're just so used to it. So it might be different where like they are just like, okay, yeah, like this is a ChatGPT personality or this is like an AI personality. That's fine. But I think I'm still on like the old person thing where it's like, no, it just doesn't feel like I can't connect to it the same way. And I personally feel like my writing has a lot of character. I like my writing and I've tried to repeat it. I've tried to get ChatGPT to repeat it. I've tried to get Perplexity to repeat it. And it just doesn't feel like I can tell it's not me, which makes me feel like other people will be able
Hmm.
to tell it's not me. So for a creative perspective, I'm not concerned. I do think that it is good for like the 70% of people creating content, but there's the 30% that are just like uh, unique voices, and those are the 30% that typically surpass that level of just like that baseline success, if you know what I mean. Like, does that make sense? I'm kind of
Hmm.
rambling about it because I'm live processing, but I do think, okay, this is the thought. There's 100% of the content that's out there. I think 70% of that exists in like a medium. Like it's this middle place where it's like these people are going to be doing things that are successful and they're making a living off of this and they're making content that people are watching. Then I think there's like that 30% where it's like these people are providing something unique and are interesting and are more memorable. And it's less about like, how do I keep up with the content game? How am I repeating templates and structures and stuff that have been successful in the past? And more just like, this person's voice is interesting. I don't think that
Mm.
ChatGPT or like AI can do that. I think that it can
Hmm.
do the 70%. So that's why I think that your ability to have your personality and authenticity is what is going to make you different. When like obviously it always has been, but for AI specifically. So personally, I'm not afraid because I feel confident in my ability to do that. But it also is great because it does like level the playing field a little bit, or like just kind of, I guess, create less barriers for people who have something to say, but maybe were never that like talented, I guess, at presenting it. So there are
Hmm.
benefits there. Short answer, I'm not concerned. I think it's interesting.
Okay. Fair enough. I want to drill down something you said earlier. You said that you think that I think it was like the delivery of your content is much more important than the content itself. Was that
Yeah. Yeah. This is
okay?
something
Can you
that
say more about that? What does that mean?
Yeah. Okay. So, I've been thinking a lot about this in the past like year or so, and I think I've always thought about it, but it's only like recently where I've been kind of hammering in on it. The content game, like the reason that people consume content is because they want to consume content. They want to be entertained or, they want something to be delivered to them in an interesting way that's engaging. If you wanted
Hmm.
pure information, then you would just like read a textbook, you'd read a paper, you'd do whatever, but that's boring and that's difficult for a lot of people to sit through. So they want content, so they want it to be delivered to them. The thing that I think people forget when they're making content is that the value that you have or the information that you have isn't really unique. There's a lot of people that think the same things, have said the same things in the past. I've probably said something already that has already been said a million times. And even specific expertise, it's not something that's actually unique. Your perspective you could think is unique, and maybe it's unique in the space, and that's fine. But also, there's other people. You might have like the right perspective, but there's other people who might be more convincing, and so therefore their perspective could be wrong, or what their information is could be wrong, but they're better at delivering it, and so people are listening to that anyway. The reason, so I think that people. are not coming back to you because of the information. So even if you have a piece of content that is really, really high delivery or high value, and the information is great, and somebody watched it or listened to it or read it or whatever, and they got something out of it, they're not going to come back to you if they don't feel like they've connected to you or that it was memorable. They're gonna, next time they look for more information, they're gonna go and find the information. And if it's just an information game, then they can find that anywhere. What you want is you want people to come back not because of the information that you provided, but because of the way that you provided it. That's what makes you unique, not your information, not your value. So having that personality or whatever, it could be like your individual personality. I also like to use like for if it's not like a specific person, I like to use Kurzgesagt as an example, which is like a it's like a cartoon science YouTube channel that I used to watch a lot. But it's not a person. It's just like it's a specific style. And I used to watch it because I liked that specific style, and I liked it the way that they wrote, and I liked the animations were cool to watch. But the information that they were doing, like there's a ton of other channels that were doing the same thing, but I went to them because I liked the way they were doing it. That is what I think the game is now. It's how do you convince people to come back to you as opposed to going to the other person who's saying the same thing as you. So yeah, I think people overvalue their value, undervalue the way that they are actually delivering that. Because yeah, it's content. Content is entertainment. So entertain people, connect with them. Don't just provide information.
That's so interesting. Okay, so maybe like to ask the obvious next question is like, okay, as someone who produces content for a living, how do you do that? Like, what does that mean? Like, if I'm a third grader, like literally, how do you do that?
How do you find your delivery? Like, is that what you mean?
Yeah, like how do you think about your? Because like, okay, you have this information, like you want to write an article, you want to write an essay.
Mhm.
You're going to be, in your words, like saying the same information that is out there in other places and people have thought about and known, but you still do it and like you take the time to do it. So like, what is the belief you have, or what is the framework you think about for making that deliverable valuable? Does that make sense?
Making your delivery the thing. Okay. Honestly, it's just about really understanding you, like in your if you're a brand, then your brand or whatever. But it's about understanding like what makes you and authentic. Because people aren't going to buy it if you like, you can. I guess there's two ways to go about it. There is leaning completely into the personality bit and just like characterizing that. I think when I present, I'm a character of myself. So when you see me present things or do videos and stuff, it's like it's an exaggerated version of myself because that comes across better than like a more calm version of myself. But it's still me. It's just
Mhm.
it's I've had my friends watch it and they're like, yeah, like you don't emote like that when you speak regularly, but that is still you. So you get in touch with that and kind of like just really pull that out. So it's like really, really obvious. Same thing with like a brand, if you know your brand, but you should really, really understand what your personality is. And you should make it personable. So don't just like try to flatten it out, especially brands do that. Like, they want to play safe. And it's okay to play safe, but also just like play safe in some areas and then like figure out where to exaggerate it in others. So there's that, which is just like
What do you mean by flat?
flat. I
Sorry,
mean,
what does it mean to play flat?
yeah, I think flat means like you're literally just like you're removing the personality from it. Like you want to deliver things in a way that is clear and just boring, right? Like the difference between a teacher who, if you have like an English teacher and they're like explaining the plot to Macbeth, it's like, okay, that's like they can walk through the different plot points and say, Lady Macbeth was crazy here. Why was she doing that? That's wild that she would like manipulate him or whatever. I'm not taking sides on Macbeth. Okay. But if you have a teacher who's like if you do have a teacher who's like uh invested in it and is like saying, "Oh man, I really, really didn't like Lady Macbeth here. This is why, because she did this." And maybe Macbeth was crazy that he would actually like he was so power hungry. Can you believe that? Like it's like if you're injecting your personality, you're injecting your thoughts, your opinions, or just like the intonation. Even is just like reflecting the fact that you feel. Whereas a flat version is just like, here are the plot points. This is what happened. And I think that a lot of brands, they think that because they're still giving you the plot to Macbeth, that they are it's fine to deliver it like that because that's it's safe. Nobody's going to take offense to the fact that I said, man, maybe Lady Macbeth was a bit crazy. They're just going to let other people do the thinking, which is great. And I still like there's space for that. But you're creating content. So you want to entertain people. So it's just about not trying to play it safe by just delivering. I think that's where it's flat. Just injecting yourself and not being afraid to. I also think that one of the biggest things that I always tell people is that uh, embrace your curiosity. If you're curious about something, if you're excited about something, then you have to embrace that because that's what makes things interesting. If people see that you're curious about something, then they're going to be curious about it as well. And also, it's more interesting when you're invested in something as well. So I like to really, really follow what I'm curious and what I'm curious about, and that helps me. That helps me like really, really bring out my personality and make it feel not so flat. If I'm saying the other thing that I was going to say for like trying to make your identity value like your delivery unique is just format as well. Like this is the prime example. The thing that I use all the time is Hot Ones. Now, I think Sean Evans is a fantastic interviewer as well, but I do think that the success of Hot Ones is really like the delivery of it it's a celebrity interview. There's celebrity interviews everywhere, but
Hmm.
obviously there's the chicken wings, and that's like the gimmick, and it's the hot sauce, and it's great. But it's also just like this. Okay, this is you want to if you come up with things that are like unique like that, then that's fantastic. But this one, the reason that this one is so good, and this is now just me going a little bit on a tangent because I just think it's so great, is that there's a game. It's gamified because it's like, well, how far are they going to be able to get? We're going all the way up, and you're anticipating the next one because we're at 1, we're at 2, we're at 3, we're at 4. So there's always anticipation, which is like a huge thing in storytelling, is you don't want to lose anticipation. But then there's also this like level of it's a regular celebrity interview, but you're taking people who are so polished and you're putting them in an environment where they have no control over their bodily reactions and the way that their reactions, and it's like the most vulnerable that you can get. They're like snot coming out of their nose and they're like crying and they're trying to answer these questions, but all they can think about is the fact that their mouth is on fire. And I'm like, damn, like that's a celebrity interview that's great. Like, now you're like, compare that to somebody sitting in front of a celebrity and asking them the same questions. Even you could ask the same questions and it could still feel flat and kind of boring, but that just like that adds something that now makes it unique. And I'm going to choose that one over another interview with the same celebrity who maybe again like is that being asked the exact same questions, because the delivery of that is just like so much more interesting, and it also just like adds to the reason or it adds to the it makes the interview more deep, authentic. um yeah. So there's two short answers then. One, exaggerate your own personality, really, really lean into your own curiosity, be excited about things, and have opinions sometimes. And then two, think about the ways that you can do things differently that add to the situation in like a constructive way, but are also just like unique and interesting. Those are the two ways you can think about your delivery. But that again, to me, matters more than the information itself.
So not, I kind of want to push back on a couple things you said and just get your reaction to them. So like, I think if I heard you, your main point for at least the first point was like authenticity is super important. Like you can't really do anything if you're not authentic, right?
Mhm.
So like for shows like Andrew Huberman, like the Huberman Lab podcast, right? Like I would actually say his information is like pretty flat, and it's like really just him reading like a bunch of these like scientific studies for like hours at a time. But people love that. Like, is that because that's him? Like he gets excited about whatever he's talking about?
Yeah, so I can't specifically comment on him because I have never ever listened to a single thing that he's done. So,
Okay.
but if I'm thinking about it, when I worked in radio, we had it was news radio. We had 5 or 6 shows on a day or something like that. I forget. And it's the same stories because it was Toronto news, right? So it's the same stories every single day, and everybody's reporting on the
Hmm.
same thing. And there was one host we had who would do afternoons, and he like his whole thing was that he was like really flat, and he had a good voice, which also helped. But people do love that. But again, like that was like authentically him. I don't think that like I wouldn't necessarily conflate flat with like boring. There's flat and there's flat. There's flat as in you're removing the personality, and then there's flat as in your personality is flat. And I think that that's okay if your personality is flat. If that's actually you, because people are going to like that. People are going to relate to that. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I think that that's the difference. If that is Andrew Huberman, that's who he is, then that's what. Also, it still is like a unique delivery of information in that sense, but he's just the one doing it well. And that's why people are going back to him. I guess it is like, there are
Hmm.
people who are going to want to listen to people who read studies just like off the cuff, like, whatever. Um, if that's actually who he is and that's what he's doing and that's what it almost feels like that's his version of being excited, then I think that that comes across and people can feel that. But I think if it was like somebody like maybe me just reading off of a study and suppressing my actual personality, people would also be able to sense that. I think people are better at sensing things like that than even they realize.
So I totally agree. By the way, what do you think that is? Like when you're chatting with someone and you're like, I think you're full of crap. Like I don't think you believe the things you're saying, and like you can just feel that. What is that? If you had
I
to describe it, like put it into words.
I don't actually know. I guess it's just intuition. Like I think we just all have intuition. It's really hard to say. Because I can't really name it, and I don't really know why. But and like, so I always say that my favorite type of person is the type of person who couldn't hide who they are if they tried. Right? Like you just like like this person, they can be really
Okay.
really
Okay.
weird, or like they could say the craziest stuff. Maybe they're even kind of mean or something. But I'm just like, wow, that's just kind of you. I like that. Uh, you can
Yeah.
you can tell when somebody is just who they are. Even if they're like I said, even if they're like super annoying or something, I'm like, I still like you because I can tell that that's who you are. If somebody is, I don't know, you can just kind of tell when somebody's trying to present differently than they are. I can't like pinpoint why or how, but like you feel it too. It's just like, it's intuition, I guess. And I think we all like, that's why I don't think that people even
Yeah.
realize that they have it. And that's why I think that people think that they're getting away with it, is because you can't really you can't really like put a process down and say, this is how you do this. It's like, no, we just kind of feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like kids are the best at this. Like kids kind of have this amazing BS detector where they'll like hang out with like the cool adults, and you're like, whoever kids like is like I want to be friends with. You know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I used to get in trouble as a kid because I would call out adults. I thought they were bullshitting. I got in trouble a lot. I was like suspended at like 6 years
What did
old.
you say? You're
Oh,
like, I think you're lying. Like I don't think you believe that. What did you say?
well, I don't remember all of it. I remember just whenever I thought that they were being, uh, yeah, I don't know. I can't even remember what I said. I remember being suspended plenty of times. um, yeah, but I think like my niece and my nephew, well, my nephew more so does that even now, and he'll just like say, "That's not true. Like that's not true. You're not like But yeah, I don't know. That's a good point though. Kids, like the whole kids and animals thing. If kids and animals like you, that's again, like this is the thing. An animal doesn't know why they like somebody or why they don't. Like, and you can't like
Right.
teach an animal the process to like read a person, but like the animals are really good at reading people, right?
Right. 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 My wife and I talked about we literally talked about this last week. Like what is energy? Like we're trying to figure it out. We're like, what is energy? Like what is that feeling of like you chat with someone, you're like they're the best. Like I just want to hang out with them more. I want to get to know them more. And it's so weird because like it's not characteristics. It's not even like on paper. But like you just have some friends. You're like, dude, we would like on paper we should not be friends, but I love hanging out with you and like you're so
Yeah,
fun.
charisma.
I don't know.
You can't define. I don't think you can define charisma. Or like chemistry. You can't really define it or like force it, but it's there. Some
Yeah.
people have it, some people
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
Did you like, do you remember, was there an age where you realized like, "Oh, snap, like I'm different, like I am a bit more intuitive than people that like are my peers?"
I
Or
wouldn't
was there
like
like, have you always felt that way?
I wouldn't like say I'm like more intuitive than people. I think I'm just like I was an unfiltered child. Because I just like had behavioral issues and extreme ADD, which I refused to take medication for when I was a kid. But I think the different thing, like, I mean, I think listen, I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I was a weird kid, and I think I'm a weird adult sometimes, even to put. Oh my god, I feel like that Cole Sprouse meme. Um, but I think that and I knew that really early. But I think that the reason that I felt that way is because I just don't really I just really I really, really care about the things that I'm interested in. And I'm curious about, and I think that that's something that I have been like I do, and I have like actively embraced my entire life. And I think that that's something that as an adult I've now come to reflect and realize is something that is has been super, super helpful for me. To do things,
Hmm.
to feel confident doing things, maybe sometimes like honestly too confident. Like I should really scale back some of my confidence sometimes. But I think that as a kid, I didn't realize that I was doing that because I just like was filtering everything out. I did not care. I didn't care about getting in trouble. I didn't really care that if other kids didn't like it, or if I was annoying or whatever it was. But yeah, I think that just like it's just embracing authentic curiosity and interest and excitement and just always being excited about things. I don't know if that like
Hmm.
answers your question, but that's like if I'm trying to think, yeah, I don't think I've ever really, really, really thought too deeply about it. But if I'm thinking about what has carried over from that personality as a kid to my personality as an adult in my career, I think that's it. And I think that's the most helpful thing in all aspects of my life, in both career, because I do things, my creative side projects, because I just constantly am creating things because I want to and I'm interested in it. And then also in like just general
Hmm.
happiness too. I think if you're always curious, um, it's easier to stay happy. That's like, yeah, I don't know. Now I'm getting deep about it, but yeah. Yeah.
How often? It seems, I feel like you're the type of person that doesn't do stuff that they're not excited about for a long period of time. So like, how do you maintain? Because like, we're all human. Like there's day to day stuff that comes up that we're like not going to be excited about, like doing laundry. I
Yeah.
like folding laundry. I don't like doing laundry. But so like, do you have like a method for like, okay, if I'm doing things for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days in a row that I'm like not excited about, like I got to make a change. Do you think about it like
Mm.
that? Or it's not, it's more intuitive. Like it's just more like as you're going.
I actually just struggle with this in general. First off, I as an adult do take my ADD medication, so that helps. Do
Hmm.
things that I don't want to do. I do well when I get letters from the finance office saying you need to respond to this or you'll be deported. That kind of stuff forces me to do the things that I need to do. I will say though, I am also the type of person who really, really needs to be settled and like clean and organized to be able to focus and feel creative. Otherwise, I feel like this like pressure of like guilt or whatever. So I'm actually
Hmm.
very good at staying in routine for all my chores and everything. I'm actually like maybe a little bit too obsessive about keeping up with my chores. Uh, but I think in terms of like career, I think with there are obviously things that I don't want to do, and my goal is to kind of just to power through and find ways to make it interesting. I think that everything is interesting if you allow yourself to embrace it as opposed to just feeling like this is kind of shitty, boring work. So even the like super, super long just process documents, I can get interested in if I don't sit down with the mindset of like, fuck, I gotta get through this shit now. But
Hmm.
yeah, I also think that if the reason that I'm in the job that I'm in now, and I mean, because I was really bad at school actually. In college, it took me an extra year to finish because if I didn't like a class, there was one class I didn't actually know where it was. I just didn't go to it. It like, and that was like cost me another year of my life and an extra couple $1,000 as a consequence. Um,
Yeah.
I did have a hard time I do have a hard time doing things, and I would never go back to school because I don't think I would pass. I don't think I'd pass. um, but I do think that I, at the same time, like just go so hard on the things that do interest me and that I'm curious about, and because of that, I can almost like make up for the things that I'm not doing. And I get this job and I get to do all these things in this job that I really like. And I get to kind of force my way into the things that I'm interested in because I'm just so excited and interested and curious about those things. And so then it's like, well, other people start to recognize that my energy is better used over here, right? So I'm not bitter
Mm.
about the things I have to do. I do the things I have to do. But when you're just like all in on the things that you love, you get results that are good anyway, and then you get to do those things more. Yeah, does that make sense? I think
Totally.
that's kind of yeah
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and it's funny because as you were talking, I just couldn't help but think like it's funny that you say that you would never go back to school because I feel like you've mentioned like intense curiosity so much, and like that is literally what learning is, right? You're just like, so you
Yeah.
love learning. It's just like in this confines of school that's like,
Oh, I
blech.
do love learning. I used to go to lectures that I wasn't in. And I also failed a couple classes because I went to the lectures and I did the exams, but I didn't do the projects. Um,
Mm,
like I do love learning. I never want to stop. I think it's just like there are different people who learn differently, and I learn at a different
hmm
in a different way and a different pace, and so that makes sense for me to. I mean, listen, I should criticize myself here. I need to just have more discipline in general for that kind of stuff. And school is important, and I think that it's good to do things that you don't want to do. And I think that that's like it's stupid of me to say, oh, I shouldn't. I don't need that because I learned this way. It's like no, there are like reasons that we are taught that way. There are reasons that we do projects, and there are reasons that we have those kinds of class structures and stuff. So it's like I'm not saying oh like I'm too good for that. I don't think that at all. I think that this is like a flaw that I have that I've just like luckily have been able to make up for in other ways. But I do love learning, and I always like think that like, I never want to stop. If I ever like stop feeling curious or wanting to learn about things, then I think that like I don't know. That sounds horrible, but
yeah,
I just don't want to pay $20,000 to feel stressed because I don't want to do a project for this class. I want to do an extra project for this other one instead. Yeah, I just know myself enough.
totally,
Yeah,
totally. Which is like why it's so fun to be an adult because you get to make those decisions.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So you're obviously an insanely like high output individual. Like I feel like you do a lot. And you said you're very like disciplined with your routines, like in your chores, I think specifically.
Mhm.
What does your typical day in the life look like when you're home and not traveling? Like a Wednesday,
Um,
like a work day.
First off, it's interesting you say high output because I never feel high output. It never, ever, ever actually feel that I'm doing, enough, which is, like, something that I have to convince myself that, no, I am, even, like, in my personal creative stuff and work, but, like, I always feel like I'm actually not high output, and then I'm, like, slacking too much.
Hmm.
Which that's like I'm working on that with my therapist. But what does a day in life look like? Okay, so first off, I'm not really a great morning person. I don't like waking up in the morning. Here, like I said, I'm at my sister's right now. So I have 3 children who like to wake up at like 7. So I'm waking up earlier here. And that's totally okay with me because then I get like another 45 minutes out of the day with them when I don't get to see them that much. So I'm happy with that. Usually though, when I'm at home, I wake up like I like have to force myself out of bed around 9:30. I start my day immediately by doing all of my chores around the house. So I'll start like yeah, I clean anything that I didn't clean the night before. I do all my laundry. I will like I vacuum every morning, all that kind of stuff. All my chores I
hmm
spend like 2 hours just like first thing in the morning doing all that. Um, and then I convince myself that I've been productive, and then I don't do my admin, which is that's the thing that I'm bad at. And in Germany
Until you get the
too,
letter from
they
the Office of Finance.
exactly, exactly. In Germany too, like they're so I get mailed on my bills still. And when I was living in Canada, I didn't. So I would just like, it just like automatically come out of my account, or like I'd go to an appointment and then I
Sure.
just pay there. Here I get bills mailed to me, and it's like it's not that I don't want to pay the bill. It's like I don't want to sit down and open this letter and then pay the bill. So that kind of stuff I have to force myself to do that. That isn't in my routine. That's in like it's been 3 weeks. You really need to sit down and do all this right now. Um, but after I do that, I typically try to start working, but there are many days where I get distracted and I play guitar for like 4 hours or something, which is not helpful. Yeah. Um, but yeah, which is nice because then sometimes the days where I have the most to do work wise are the days that I will write and produce like an entire song and and not do anything else. But yeah, I will start working, but I also just kind of typically sit and work for like I'll just like get in the zone for like 6 or 7 hours straight, and I usually work until like 10, 11, sometimes 12 in the night, um, because I feel like I work best in the evening. I'm somebody who, as soon as like 10 p.m. hits, I'm awake. Before that
Mm-hmm.
is like my brain doesn't really work, which is why I like to do chores in the morning because that's like a lot less brain power. But yeah, I think that
Sure.
that's kind of my regular day. And then I'll finish. If I finish work at like 12, then I'll just stay up till like 2 or 3 like reading or whatever, or right now rewatching Smallville because it's on Netflix, and that was my favorite show growing up. But yeah, that's also I forgot an important part of my routine actually. Before I'd start working, after I finish cleaning, I sit down and I do the New York Times crossword, but only until Wednesdays. Because after that it is impossible. And I will admit to cheating on Wednesdays even. So, because it gets harder every day. Mondays, I feel so
For
smart.
sure.
Really, really good for the ego on Mondays. Yeah. In fact, I download Monday
Are you,
packs just to do Monday packs. So I'm like, hell yeah. Look at me go. Yeah. I knew what an Oreo was.
are
Yeah.
you are you still an avid daily listener?
No. Oh no, I stopped that. So when I left news, I stopped. I was obsessed with news, and I knew everything from American politics and Canadian politics. I knew everything that was going on. People would ask me to keep them like updated. And as soon as I left news, I was like, I need like mentally, I cannot keep up. I'm gonna keep up with this. I'm gonna be a regular person from now on. And so
Yeah.
I don't follow it as intensely anymore, and I stopped listening to the daily. And American politics in general used to be entertaining and kind of funny, and now it's just kind of sad. So I
Yeah.
really, yeah, I don't like to. I keep up with it like as much as like the responsible person should, but I'm not.
Hmm.
No, I just like this is this is like drama entertainment that I don't want.
Yeah. 100%. So I know you mentioned it a little earlier, but like, so you said you like to read, you like to write. You don't necessarily listen to podcasts unless they're like fictional horror. So what are like the types of books you like to read, or like what's had the biggest impact on you from a content perspective?
Content perspective, Kurt Vonnegut is my favorite writer. I've read everything
Okay.
he's written, including like his essays and stuff. I think he's done a lot for me, and I read him at like a really pivotal time too. Like I read him when I was in college, and I was kind of in that transition of young adult to like a you know actual person. And so I think that his writing style even like had like a lot of like a really big impact on me. Um, and I also just like the ideas and like the way that he conveys ideas is very interesting. I'm also a huge Hemingway fan as like a from a writing perspective. I don't even like the setting. Like someone who has short stories and stuff or like big game hunting and stuff. I'm like, I hate that. Or like the Sun Also Rises is literally about the running of the bulls and stuff. And I'm like, I don't agree. I don't know if this is a hot take. I don't really care. I don't like that. I don't like it, but I love the books so much. And so it's the way that he writes, I think is just like super, super, super interesting. And I think that his simplicity is the power. I think I think about that a lot when I'm doing writing myself. Um, and other so Hemingway. This is unfortunate. It's just men. Hemingway and Kurt Vonnegut, I think, are the biggest like writing influences. Also, Dostoevsky. I love Dostoevsky so much. It's rambly. It's not even close to the same writing style as Kurt Vonnegut and Hemingway, who are both very, very scaled back in terms of like, yeah, like the amount that they're just like they keep it simple and like they cut everything. Dostoevsky rambles. Um, but I think that the way that he structures stories for conveying very, very complex ideas is fascinating. And so I really, really like that. In fact, I read The Idiot for the first time earlier, I guess last year. And I was like, damn, this is like the greatest. I love this book so much. It is so long and there are so many boring parts, but I just love it. The way like the actual ideas are getting across. I don't know. It's very interesting. The character work, I guess. And you know what it is? I think that Dostoevsky doesn't feel the need to humanize the characters that much. Like, it's not that. I think he almost like fully understood that a character will never be a person, right? A character is a character, and they serve a purpose in a story. Um, and I don't think that you shouldn't think about your characters as humans or people, but I do think that if you recognize the limitation where they're never going to be that much, like they're never going to be that deep, like as deep as a real person is, because it's impossible to do. Then you can do this really, really, really interesting thing where you can create their character around a perspective or like an idea, and using characters as ideas, and then having those ideas interact. Uh, that to me is fascinating, and I think the Brothers Karamazov is like the best way
Mm.
to see that, just because like the three brothers, they all just kind of represent very specific ideas. Um, but yeah, I think I took that from him. Writing style, simplicity and like power from Hemingway. And then Kurt Vonnegut is just like silly wordplay and uh, just everything else. That's what I took from him. And then other than that, I think songwriting, that's where we can get like, there's women there. I take a lot from that as well. Because I like the poetry of it. I like metaphors. I like storytelling, but like analogous story. Oh my God. Songwriting is really good for that kind of stuff. So I trying to think of like examples, but this one is just like, there are so many artists that I listen to. I just want to say the Japanese House because I love the Japanese House. But Adrian Lenker, like that kind of stuff. I take a lot, I guess, from that kind of storytelling as well. I'm gonna say something that's gonna
Yeah,
make
hit
me
it.
like I don't really care what people think about this. I think that something that's really interesting, and you can tell because of the amount of people that copied it, is when Phoebe Bridgers came out and like her album Punisher got a lot of attention. I think what that taught a lot of people is that you can be specific to yourself without having to like try to universalize experiences, because she just wrote like she'll just write like the stupidest like uh very, very specific moments, and still they're relatable to everybody, even though I was never at a payphone on a payphone in Kyoto talking to my dad on the phone or whatever, right? But it's like but she was like the
Hmm.
hyper specific thing, and then everybody started copying that um, because it connected people to real life moments. I think that's another thing that's really interesting that I think I maybe have thought about more than I realize since that album came out from like a writing perspective. Yeah. And there we go. I'm now putting Phoebe Bridgers, which I don't even listen to her that much, with Hemingway and Kurt Vonnegut. That feels
Kurt
weird.
Vonnegut and Hemingway. There is that.
Yeah, that's oh my God. Yeah, I don't even listen. I listen to like Built to Spill. Anyway, yeah. Yeah.
Dang. Well, Jackie, you're awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. I so appreciate you. Where can people find you if they want to see more of your stuff or reach out? Where can they get connected?
Yeah, I'm best on LinkedIn. I don't really have socials. Just Lower Street YouTube channel, and LinkedIn. That's pretty much where I exist online. Yeah. But thank you. This has been awesome. It's like such a fun
Awesome.
conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.